The current focus on oil prices and offshore drilling vastly oversimplifies a complex problem. Sure, prices are important, but energy policy is about much more than the price we pay at the pump. For one thing, the energy debate is also about the environment. A broad scientific consensus has emerged telling us that our burning of fossil fuels is the main source of global climate change. A recent highly publicized report by Nicholas Stern, a former chief economist with the World Bank, concludes that climate change poses very serious risk and demands a very urgent response. The report notes that if left unchecked, climate change could cause social and economic disruptions on the scale of the Great World Wars or the Great Depression of the 20th century. Lower oil prices, which would only encourage more consumption, would only make future climate change more serious. The energy debate is also about jobs and the environment. So far, the world's response to climate change has been insufficient, mainly because many countries are worried that the economic costs are too high. But the Stern report notes that the cost of doing nothing, of continuing along a business-as-usual path, will far exceed the cost of action. In fact, it is becoming increasingly clear that addressing climate change not only brings environmental benefits, but it is also a promising strategy for long-term economic growth. Investments in clean domestic energy technologies promote job creation here in the United States. Think about this. In 2007, the United States spent about $250 billion on imported oil. That's equal to about $1,000 for every person in the country. That money was supporting economic growth overseas and contributed to our growing trade deficit. Instead, directing just some of this money towards developing clean energy technologies could, in just a couple of years, create about 2 million good-paying jobs here at home. The energy debate also relates to foreign policy. We rely on imported oil for about 60% of our consumption, and about half of our imports come from OPEC countries, such as Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and Nigeria. Our dependence on imported oil makes us vulnerable to price changes as a result of military conflicts and political upheavals. It also means we devote significant resources towards maintaining our supplies of foreign oil. According to various studies, we pay a hidden cost of anywhere from $1 to $10 per gallon of gas in military expenditures just to secure our access to foreign oil. So the important energy question isn't whether we should drill for more oil. Instead, the important energy question is how can we develop energy sources that are affordable, that are clean, and that are domestic. Again, the answer is not simple. There is no single magic bullet that will solve all of our energy problems, such as, well, hydrogen's the answer, or solar energy is the key. We will need to pursue a wide range of energy options, including wind and solar energy, hydrogen, natural gas, biofuels. And because we need to take a big-picture, long-term perspective, we can't rely solely on the private market with its emphasis on short-term profitability. We need a comprehensive national energy policy to direct resources and to create the right set of incentives. Take a look at another figure. We see here a comparison over time of the oil savings we could get from a comprehensive energy policy consisting of improved fuel economy standards and energy efficiency investments, here in green, to the oil we could get from an expansion of oil development to offshore areas and the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, down here. The comparison shows that with effective policies we could save about 11 times the oil we could get from expanded drilling. And note that we can start getting the benefits of clean energy now, while we wouldn't see the oil from increased drilling for about a decade. Now, many people have compared what is needed to the Manhattan Project that built the atomic bomb, or the Apollo Project that put a man on the moon. But in reality, the challenge is even more difficult with energy because a problem is not just technical in nature. There's also a critical behavioral component we need to deal with. Of course, people should be taking voluntary actions like buying the most fuel-efficient vehicle that meets their needs, or driving less whenever they can, or increasing the energy efficiency of their home, and so forth. There are numerous actions we could all be taking that both reduce energy use and provide cost savings in the long run. But again, we need public policy action to establish a comprehensive energy policy that creates the right incentives. to reward those who take responsible action, and yes, to punish those people or companies that use energy needlessly. Economics tells us that people respond to incentives. And it's time we have an honest adult conversation about taxes. Nearly all economists support higher energy taxes, but politicians won't touch the subject. Again, the issue isn't as simple as it's normally made out to be. The choice isn't just between raising taxes or lowering taxes. An increase in energy taxes could be offset with a decrease in other taxes, such as the payroll tax, so that overall taxes wouldn't necessarily go up. And notice that a tax shift towards energy and away from income would actually give people more control over how much they pay in taxes. Every action someone takes to use less energy would translate to paying less in taxes. As an alternative to taxes, many economists favor a permit system for fossil fuels, in which permits to develop energy resources would be auctioned off to the highest bidder. One advantage of this system is that the revenues from these auctions could be at least partially distributed to taxpayers as rebates, particularly to lower income households that would be hit the hardest. In reality, there are plenty of good ideas for energy policies that would be effective in terms of cost, in terms of national security, and in terms of the environment. The missing component is the political courage to put these ideas into action. To go beyond simplistic and irrelevant catchphrases like drill here, drill now. Everyone, politicians and everyday people, need to come together and take the public discourse on energy to a new level. Instead of people demanding cheaper gas for their SUVs, we should be driving less and demanding that car companies and the government come together to build vehicles that use little or even no gas. Instead of people demanding lower gas taxes, we should be open to new tax policies that encourage people to use less gas. Instead of putting off addressing climate change because of concerns about short-term economic growth, we should demand an urgent response that takes a long-term view and ensures the ecological health of the planet for future generations. With bold political leadership, such a discourse may still be possible in this country. That leadership is what we should be demanding of our politicians. Thank you.